Hello, guys. So, this is a topic that I wouldn't usually touch. I wouldn't usually talk about it, but I think it's kind of getting out of hand, and I just want to touch base a little bit. I want to talk about what I call the pastor industrial complex. These new age Christians who are leeching off of poor people, right? These mega churches that have in their congregations mostly poor people, and these guys keep telling these poor people to continue sowing seeds, and they'll get 10 times what they give, and they'll must continue to sowing these seeds to God, in which case these guys are calling themselves God. And I grew up in the church, and we were warned about all the false prophets, because if these guys are telling you to keep sowing your seed to God, and God will reward you, and they're taking that money, they're not reinvesting it in the people in the church. They're buying mansions and private jets and expensive holidays, and their wives have 500 pair of designer shoes and designer handbags, and you're barely making it. You can't pay your rent, but at the same time, you have to give 10% of your earnings to the church. This is not right. That's why Jesus went into that temple and turned over that table with all those coins. Right? This is all about money for these guys. Right? And now they're venturing into politics. And there was I don't know if it was a law or doctrine or whatever they call it. There was a separation of church and state in the Constitution, right? But there's a doctrine that and don't quote me on this, but it states that because you get tax exemption, you cannot support a political party. But you see these MAGA pastors on the pulpit preaching, calling Democrats evil and calling them the devil, calling Joe Biden evil and calling him devil and pedophile and all these things. And now these guys found out who the true PDF files are, and they're okay with it. Right? When they find out who the true ones are, they're okay with it. These guys, they criticize the Catholic Church for their deeds that they've done, rightly so. But these guys have someone right under their noses that they're supporting, because as long as the person they're supporting is giving them what they want, then they don't care. This is not about God. This was never about God. Right? These guys are the same guys from the 1930s who went to Germany and tried to adopt the Hitler's way of life, and you could look this up, right? And try to bring that back into America. Try to suppress people's rights. Try to suppress workers' rights. Try to suppress unions. Try to suppress razor pay. Try to suppress voters' rights, right? Because if you're not voting for them, they don't want you to vote at all, right? And that's what the prayer breakfast in Washington was all about. It was all about these Christians coming together, lobbying the government for fascism. These mega churches, these mega church pastors, they're no different from the tech industrial complex, the military industrial complex. They wield just as much influence. And looking at it now, there's no separation of church and state. And I cannot imagine another religion forming in America and start preaching to the Americans and getting that big. You hear about the recent bombings. You hear about the recent shootings at mosques and stuff like that. That's just the beginning. You don't hear the president come out and condemn those things, or Secretary of State, or anyone in his cabinet. But let it be Lincoln Riley, and there will be laws passed. There was no laws passed for George Floyd. They would want to roll back every step that we gained for accountability. That matter of fact, the Supreme Court's already doing that. They don't want us to have rights. There's just a select few of evangelical Christians, white evangelical Christians, and all those black people and Hispanics who are helping them in the electorate, thinking that you have a seat at the table. You're a useful idiot, and don't think you're gonna come running back and that we gonna accept you, because we recognize that you helped to defeat us. We're keeping our white friends over here that stick it through with us. They're our allies. You're not. So keep going to your mega churches and think that you're a part of it, and that you're welcome there, and keep paying your tithes and giving your offerings, sowing your seed to the Lord, because the Lord need private jets and a $50 million home across from a $10 million home. This pastor told his congregation that he needed a new $50 million jet for the Lord, and they gave it to him, while he flying to different countries, to different vacation homes. And he get up on the pulpit preaching about how evil the Democrats are, and everyone in his congregation clap amen. What happened to us, man? What happened to us? This is bad, man.